Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. This is a big pleasure to be here. And I brought this so many pictures because the main objective of my study in the end was based on culture and social representations, and that's why I brought so many different pictures. Okay, so my name is Bárbara and I am from São Paulo. I finished in the end of 2019 a PhD study with Tony in São Paulo Catholic University at PUC. And I studied the representation of the human being in Google Books and the stages of life. So first of all, I would like to thank so much Tony for the opportunity to take this study and the study group who have helped me a lot during that time. Claudia was one of these people helping me, so I appreciate that so much. Um, I had a CAPES grant during that time. And as the researches here are based on the method of dimensions, I decided to bring a part of the study where we found dimensions. But the end of my study, we ended up changing the method, and Tony has developed a script, and we have used sentiment analysis to finish the study. But in the middle of the PhD study, we have used also this method that I found interesting to bring today for a discussion. So I investigated these words, this list of words, all ages since you were born until the end of a human being life. And I was hoping to identify in the beginning of the study which age or which stage of your life was the most representative, was the most important for a person. And then I have started researching words in singular, then I changed also to plural. We remembered about Sinclair, um, where he mentions the importance of looking at words in both parts. So I looked at kids, infancy, infant, toddler, so many words, and then we even discussed the moment where you are not born yet, or when you are a newborn, and all these words were important words to list and to identify on Google Books on BYU um, website. Then I started this study because before I got back to Tony's group, I took some sort of a specialization course at the Federal University of São Paulo, where I was interested in understanding what happens in adolescence period of time that may bring traumas in education and sometimes happiness for students when they are learning a new language and their difficulties. And that's how I started my study with Tony. So when we started to draw a path for this study, I I was trying to understand what does it mean to be young, what does it mean to be an adult, what does it mean to be a young adult, a kid, a baby, a teen or teenager. And so this is how I started. And then I found sentences such as these ones, for example, being young is to live with your parents. So if you live with your parents, it means you're still young. If being old means that you need assistance. So if you don't need assistance, you're not old. So I found it so interesting, and I couldn't help stop finding new words and new words, and this was one of the challenges of the study. Um, okay, so I brought here a reflection from Stubbs about representation when he mentions this importance about crystallizing ideas and providing prefabricated means, uh, and especially this word crystallizing ideas was one of the things that made me try to understand how complex was to build a profile and to understand if there were age groups or not throughout all the stages of life of a person. I don't know if I'm going too fast, so you can stop me if you want. So, as I said, this study has changed in the end of the PhD study, but I decided to bring this part of the findings because I thought it would be interesting for this presentation. So, as I said, these are the words that I listed: child, children, childhood, even youngsters, youth, and seniority, senility, elder, aged. And one of the words that I found interesting when I was discussing with the group was fellow or fellows. In which moment of our life do we have more than colleagues? Do we have more than co-workers or more than friends? We have fellows. And if I was interested in understanding if this word would appear in the age groups or in the factors. So this was how it was organized in the beginning. I listed words and they were classified in bigrams, into verbs, nouns, and adjectives. We normed the total counts from Google Books, and then an analysis of variance was applied at that moment of the research. And lexical dimensions were also used to interpret data. These were the research questions at the moment. Um, I was interested if there was variation seen in the registers and if they were connected or not to the age groups. If there was a greater representation of judgment when it comes to behavior in these age groups. And I had so many questions. I had to decrease it to finish the study. And the last question here about this variation related to lifespan demonstrated more incidence independently or depending on the social groups, gender, in any specific factor. This was one of the questions that I found conclusions in the end of the study about the difference of gender and if it was an early picture of our near future because the research was made until 2008. We are in 2021, but in this study it was already possible to find information about what is taking place nowadays, what is happening nowadays when it comes to social groups. This was one of the references that I used for the study on lexical dimensions. I brought a small organization here about the common semantic property that we aimed to find during this analysis. And here some sample of the collection when it started. In the left, you can see the words that I listed, team, and then the words found as bigrams, two to the left and two to the right. And here I am summarizing the most relevant word factors and the strongest ones for each factor. Um, okay, so this is one of the findings. I don't know if you're seeing my presentation well here or not, if the Zoom is good. I'm going to the first factor here. The first one was on friendship and relationships, and the words that I mentioned before, fellow, was the word that varied the most related to the other words. But it was not necessarily related to the times throughout the life of a person, but to the word itself, the word fellow. So this category that I thought it was very important, it did not prevail in this type of variation, but it was a factor. Um, and it was found mostly in the 40s and in 1950s. The next one, factor two, was on female sexuality, and some of the words were resulting towards the Spanish looking of a female, of the word girl, and was more attitudinal rather than talking about her moral judgments, more on her physical appearance, and that's it. So it was a difference, a big, strong difference between seeing a woman as the way she thinks and seeing a woman the way she looks. And this was found mostly in the 70s. Factor three was on social personality in a community, and the word was boys in the plural, and it was found mostly in the 40s. Factor four was related to a correlation on the age groups, and it was the word boy in the singular, also in 1940. Factor five was on the word adult, found in 1930 and 1940. And the last one, fellows, in its plural form, 1960 and 1970s. Then factor seven was the word youth in 1980s. And after all that, I researched some new words, for example, kindergarten, grown up, woman, women, newborn, toddler, toddlers, and there was more conclusion on this study, and we found out mainly that the judgments on social representations, they were not based in a binary. I don't know if I am clear, but it was not only based on man, woman, or man, women anymore, boy and girl. Um, then we found out that it has changed. For example, we found um, homosexual, lesbian, bisexual. These words has shown us that there is an elastic category able to show us that there is a gender identification in these findings, but also all the categories that we try to put in a pattern or in a standard, they are actually elastic. Um, and then to finish the PhD study, we have collected words also through USAS, the web tagger from Lancaster. Tony has developed a special script for that, and we have applied sentiment analysis through Hamilton, and then we were able to find some historical descriptions and conclude these elastic categories. So I guess that's it. I spoke too fast. I'm a little bit nervous. Thank you so much for listening to me, and I guess that's it.
Thanks, Barbara. That was a great presentation. So we have a couple of minutes for questions for Barbara now.